All right, fellas, NFL Thursday Night Showdown time. Need your favorite DFS and sports betting plays for tonight's Kansas City, Los Angeles game. All right, Geoff with the G. Who are you going to put in your captain spot tonight?
So, I actually really like going with the lineup construction with a really cheap player in the captain spot tonight. But just for the sake of argument, let's talk about some of the top players here. I like Keenan Allen at 9,400. I just think this is a game where the Chargers are going to be behind. And I think that that's going to lead to Keenan Allen just getting a boatload of targets. Austin Eckler, obviously banged up. Mike Williams is actually a little bit banged up as well. But again, when you're approaching showdown sites, you think, how is the game going to break down? I think this game is going to break down with the Chargers potentially attempting 50-plus passes. And if I think that, Keenan Allen is probably going to be on the end of 10-plus of those targets. This is a player who's, when he's been healthy, he's been out there. He leads the team in targets by a ton. Obviously, if Eckler doesn't play or if Eckler is very limited, it should only lead to more Keenan Allen usage. I like the matchup. Kansas City also going to be without Snead in the back end. So give me Keenan Allen as a captain spot. You also save a lot of money.
Yeah, Keenan Allen, 14,100. Reid, who are you going to put in your captain spot?
Yeah, Geoff being a coward and going against his own advice of wanting to pay down. I think that's a great strategy, right? Pay down and get these guys up there. If you're going to do that, you'd probably have to bank on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, being that guy, and then getting some of the other high-priced guys. But I'm going with Travis Kelce. This is Geoff's favorite narrative of he's due, right? He's absolutely due, and he hasn't done well over the past couple of weeks. And now you get a Chargers team that ranks 6th in giving up the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends, or 6th or 7th. And this is a huge divisional game on primetime. What does Travis Kelce do every single time? He does it, and he's cheap. We're getting Travis Kelce cheap because he hasn't been playing well for the past couple of weeks. I get that you can go with one of these quarterbacks. That's fine. I can get you to go with Tyreek Hill, who I do like, in terms of a prop bet, which we'll get to in a little bit. And Austin Eckler, reports are coming out this morning that he's not going to get a full workload. So that does scare me. So I'm going to go with Travis Kelce.
All right, Geoff with a J. Where are you going for your captain spot?
I'm going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm worried a little bit about the volume, but you look at the Chargers. It's Captain Obvious, really, in a way. The Chargers are 32nd in DVOA against the run, 31st in rushing yards allowed. Every little metric works in favor of them. The only thing I'm concerned a little bit is how much they split with the volume with him, with Darrell Williams. But I do think that it's the proper setup. That way, and I'll probably go with CH in my captain spot and still use Herbert as one of my flex plays and just try to take advantage of the volume that way.
All right, so let's talk about value here now, Reid. What do you think is the best value play out there?
Yeah, so since Pierce isn't here, I have to dumpster dive for him. And I'm going Noah 50 Shades of Grey, Jesse, at $200. Okay, I'm sure. Look, you can go with Guyton, you can go with Palmer, Pringle, DeMarcus. I'm sure one of these guys they're going to mention one of those 4 players. But Gray, he is that tight end. We see this all the time, whether it's Blake Bell, whether it's Sherman, whether it's whoever near the red zone. When everyone's focused on 87, when everyone's focused on Tyreek Hill, when everyone's focused on Patrick Mahomes, potentially with a naked bootleg, they throw it to a tight end. And Noah Gray is second in line after Travis Kelce. He's $200. I like that there. He is the dart throw, the Pierce Dietrich special dart throw for value plays tonight.
That's some super value.
There we go.
Geoff with a J, where are you going?
I like that one, by the way. I like Pringle at 26. I think that his volume picked up a little bit. Wasn't as high last week, but last week the game flow was so wild that they just pulled off the foot off the pedal so much. Surprisingly, Josh Gordon, being a COVID guy on the COVID list, is actually factoring in our favor on this one here, too. Who knew that Josh Gordon was going towards our game script here a little bit here? But I'm going to go ahead with Pringle.
All right, Geoff with a G, where are you going to go for your value play?
Yeah, I'll just like when Pierce mentions these guys who we're not even sure if they exist or not, I'll try and pick things up here with actual value plays who will get you points tonight. I love the Byron Pringle call. That's one of the players I think you can put in your captain spot tonight. And if you get that long touchdown and Patrick Mahomes performs as I think he will, which is with the massive game, you can roster studs in each of the rest of your positions. So I love that call. But I think there's playable players on the other side of the ball as well. Josh Palmer got a bump in snaps with Keenan Allen out last week, but I think Jalen Guyton is actually the big play guy you should be looking at on the other side for the Chargers. Again, touchdowns in each of his last couple games. He's being used downfield, and he's realistically the player who's been seeing the field as like the third wide receiver more than Palmer. Palmer was more of like a one game off substitution. I would really think about Guyton as well as a potential captain spot because as I mentioned, I think you're going to see a lot of passing in this game.
All right, let's talk about player props. What is your favorite player prop available on the board, Geoff, with a J?
I like Darrell Williams over 2.5 receptions. Since week 5, he's had one game where he hasn't had 3 or more receptions. I think he'll be involved in the passing game a little bit more. You get a lot on the plus side in the juice here, which it's hard to find a player prop with a plus side to begin with there. So I'm going to lean in that direction. I also kind of like the over on the yards there too.
All right, Geoff with a G, what is your favorite player prop on the board?
I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes over. It's been moving. Like this whole segment, it's been moving. It's at 281.5 right now. I like going over it. I think you can go over it. Anything under like 285. This Chargers defense is banged up, man. Asante Samuel, questionable. Derwin James, questionable. Those guys have not practiced. So even if they are active, I mean, like it's a rough coming in on a short week with no practice against a motivated Patrick Mahomes. That is rough. I think Patrick Mahomes easily goes over this today.
All right, Reid, favorite player prop?
Yeah, I mentioned him earlier. It's Tyreek Hill over 6.5 receptions. That's minus 130. So you got to lay a ton of juice there. Chargers are 21st in covering the slot and 16th against the deep ball. What does Tyreek Hill do? He does both of those things. I think it's his prime time. I'm leaning heavily on both these guys in Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. So over 6.5 receptions, Jessie at minus 130.
All right, slate approved pick time. Need your favorite bet on the board. And Geoff, G-Unit Geoff, we're going to start with you.
I'm just gonna take the Chiefs on the spread at minus 3.5. We have seen earlier in the week we saw this line move up to 4. It started to look like it may even get to like minus 6 by game time. Then the COVID news came in. But guess what? Like the Chiefs have a pretty deep defense. They have guys in the secondary like Mike Hughes who can step in. Their pass rush has kind of been good all around, even without Chris Jones over the last 3 games. And again, the Chargers are banged up. Eckler may not even get a full workload. They got 2 key defensive pieces banged up. I think the Chiefs cover this easily. I think you could even go to the alternate point spread and take the Chiefs at like minus 9 or minus 10 or something and get really good value there. Just bet the Chiefs.
All right, Reid, favorite bet on the board?
Dang, Chiefs minus 9, minus 10. Jeff's looking for a blowout here. Geoff with a G and G unit. I'm going Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. Geoff with a J mentioned you can't get a lot of plus money on these props. That's at plus like 145, I believe, on the DK Sportsbook right now. Talk about the secondary. Geoff laid it out, right? Secondary is banged up for the Chargers. And I do think that when you have a defense that ranks 21st in red zone coverage for the Chargers, a guy like Patrick Mahomes is going to tear that up. So give me Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns at plus 145.
Geoff, J Money, favorite bet on the board?
I like the over in this game here at 52. I mean, I think you mentioned the secondary injuries. No Derwin James, possibly, or at least a banged up Derwin James. Samuel, this is his second concussion, bad stuff there. Chris Jones out for the Chiefs is huge too. So, as good as the Chiefs have been playing defensively, you take away him from that pass rush. He was, moving him to the inside was so big for the Chiefs. I think that's really going to hurt their pass rush. Although at the flip side, Slater's not going to be there for the Chargers to help protect Herbert. But at the same time, I think it's just going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be like a 31-30 sort of game.